Today I'm so delighted to introduce my guest to you, Jenny Lee Sikon. Welcome to you, Jenny.
Hi, Bev. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
It's wonderful to have you join me today. So let's hear more about you and what it is that you do, Jenny.
Okay, yeah, thank you for asking. Let me introduce myself, Jenny Lee Sikon. I'm a joyful living and soul purpose coach and an EFT practitioner. So I work with spiritual-oriented women and men, break their emotional and thought patterns that made them feel trapped and held back in life, so that they could feel nurtured, re-energized, and free to take actions and move forward. Before that, I worked as a career coach and consultant for over 15 years, had my biology and management degree qualification in the past. Coach you trained coach.
Yes, love it. So let's talk about your journey. So you're focusing on joyfulness now, but I'm sure it wasn't always that way. So tell us a little about your story.
I am so glad you asked me this question, because my practice, the name of my practice is Joyful Journey. So without my journey, I would not be here today to do this work. I was chosen. So back to the child, I was always a seeker, and I, was very spiritual oriented. Back then I didn't know, but follow my tribe and, pursued external success. That's the value of the society. I did really well. And I finally, I was always a good girl, good student, everything. So then finally I worked as a career coach and a career consultant. And I loved it. I felt like I was helping people, those executives climbing on the ladder. Wonderful for years. Until after many years, I felt like, am I still helping them? Because, a higher power, more money, and a higher title didn't really bring the fulfillment and happiness. For some of them, it went to the opposite situation. So I started to lose my passion and asking and praying about my next step. What should I do next if I lost the passion to do this? And then suddenly my life, I got the answer. My life turned upside down. I got hit in every area in my life. So I just stayed there. I could not find a way in the negative situation. I felt so unfair. There were a lot of negative emotions. I got stuck until finally I didn't have strength to fight anymore. So the minute when I surrendered, the new door opened. I was like spiritually awakened. And then I was guided to a new path. The books, training, every resources came to me. I didn't choose that. So I became very thirsty and, hungry to read, study, and I tried different things. Finally, I quit my job even. Studied and helped myself to heal and come out. So finally, I found this tool called EFT, Emotional Freedom Tapping, because it's more aligned to me, and it goes to the roots, which is aligned with the job I did before as a coach. We want to go to the root to give the solution. So I stayed there, got myself certified and a couple of other modality. Now I'm an EFT, practitioner, and also chakra healing or so. Then, even along the way, finally I realized I was meant to experience. This was my calling. That's why I came to this world in this lifetime to spread the message. Because when I shifted myself, I saw the huge difference from negative feeling gradually to start to accept myself, felt good, and finally to a place I really feel the peace and the joy. I'm thankful, in daily life, everything started to change and to flow. Of course, it didn't come, right away. It's a long journey, a lot of tears,
Yes.
adversities, challenges, and the discomfort and the physical symptoms, everything. But it's all worth it. So finally, when I came out, and also intuitively, I heard the message about the world needs healer, and you are going to go out to spread the message of joyful living and a fuller living. So here I am.
Beautiful,
That's
Jenny.
my journey.
That's
Thank
wonderful. And that's, often we as teachers, educators, coaches, we have had that experience, and that makes us more understanding and empathetic of what people are going through. And when we were talking earlier, you mentioned that you have a 4-step method to deal with fear and anxiety. So can you explain a little bit about that so we can sort of use that as a framework for what we're discussing today?
Okay, sure. Yeah, this also was a procedure. It was a journey. So when I started finally to do this work, I, observe this whole situation. So finally, and I love system, because it makes things easy and simple. So I finally found, the clients, when I started to work with them, I always needed to help them to discover what's going on, what is out of the alignment. Especially as a career coach, before we talk about the purpose, but now they are stuck. It's out of the alignment and out of the balance in their body system. So we discover the first step, what's going on. And then, we found what is out of the alignment, misaligned as who they are and their intentions, their purpose, what their soul is longing for, but for some reason they just cannot make it happen. So they got to actually split inside, because part of them really want to do it, but part of them, it's like, just cannot. So it's not like for some other people, okay, I don't do it, that's fine, just quit. But they cannot quit because it's their soul's essence. So I want to do it, I don't want to do it, make them feel split inside. It's a very painful space. So then the second step, when we know the situation, what's going on, so we start to release those feelings and thoughts and beliefs that got stuck in our head, in our subconscious mind, actually. So one thing I like to mention is that many of those, I call them stuck energies, we don't know they are there, or we intentionally chose not to confront it because it's not comfortable, painful, or even scary, whatever. And especially when we are stuck, we don't have solutions. And then we feel so frustrated, we want to push them away. And actually causes more internal battles. So of course, it's like internal tug of war.
Yes.
And, so the tool I use, it's really powerful to help people get the clarity, because those emotional stuff or subconscious thoughts or so, they happen in the right hemisphere. It's not just in logical mind. And stress, anxiety, fear, those kind of things, they are feelings. So logical mind doesn't resolve emotional issues, but they are disconnected, and we don't allow ourselves to feel our feelings because we judge them, just like I did before, negative. I don't want to go there. So then we choose to suppress, hide, ignore, freeze, avoid, or even deny. I'm a positive person. I'm not, like that. So then it's all inside. It got stuck. So the tool helps us to touch those energies, because they are all feelings carry energies. touch it, use my word, it's internal stones. We use the finger like hammer to touch and hit those internal stones so that they crash. So we release those stuck energies. So the second step. And next step, shift. So when we release them, because as energy, the nature trait is that they will be replaced by another state of energy. In other words, another state of feeling, different feeling. So you don't need to do anything. It will be shifted to a higher, vibrational place, happier or acceptance or so. But then also, because we want to go there, but we haven't been there, we don't know the feeling. A lot of people said, I cannot imagine, I cannot visualize. So the third step, we actually start to use some kind of exercise, visualization, or it's like seed planting. So we plant the positive seeds and then guide our mind to feel and create the vibrations for our future self or for our future life, ideal life we want to live. So we train our mind to practice our vibration already. So then energy flows where intention goes.
Yes,
so the
does.
Energy finally starts to flow. Otherwise, you only focus healing. My problem, I need to get unstuck. So your energy is all here at this problem side. It doesn't move. That's why you're still stuck. But then you start to focus on that point. The energy starts to flow. And then, the things will start to shift. So that third step, shift. Finally, it's moving forward. We start to take actions. But I like to add one more point for the final step. Usually myself and my clients, so many people, when we finally start to take actions, we think we are all ready, we are excited, but then guess what? It's still not happening. We're still not moving. We're still not take actions. So this step, actually, we finally discovered there is still a lot of internal resistance. It could be our fear of the change, our fear of going out to be seen as our brand new self, because we have never been that person before. Now we release and shifted and become more of our authentic self. It's kind of scary to go out to be seen as who we really are. So it's the fear, a lot of reluctance and resistance. And also I found a lot of subconscious family issue, generational issue, tribe issue. It got stuck deeply there, block us. Self-worthiness actually is a huge one. We don't know it's there, but it's almost like, do I deserve really to want bigger for my life? Something like that. And it's hidden. So altogether, discover, release, shift, move forward.
Beautiful. Great way to understand it. And that's brought a couple of questions up for me that I'd love to explore. So you talk there about fear, and I know that you talk about the battle between fear and love. So what do you mean by that?
Okay, thank you for mentioning that. It's really especially important for my work because it's about emotional shifting, transformation through emotional and spiritual healing. So what I wanted to say is, the root of the root I found, of course, the tribal, your family or so, but most of us have the security physically for surviving. But this second chakra, if we talk about energy, issue, body energy, second chakra goes back to our childhood. If for any reason, if we grew up from an environment and family that we had disconnection, so emotional disconnection, or lack emotional support, which I went through myself, because my family, traditional Asian family, like highly critical. So they don't talk about emotion, especially my father is kind of emotionally detached. So we don't show, we just didn't have these kind of emotional connection. So then if we didn't have that, especially highly critical or any other kind of situation, then we didn't feel safe enough. If we didn't feel safe, we have to be cautious all the time and nervous. That's where the fear comes, because we feel unsafe, unprotected, or even unsupported and unloved. You know, for girls like us, we cannot express our emotions freely. We cannot be ourselves. And then we didn't feel like heard, supported, understood, and loved. So that growing up and making us feel that we have to be cautious, we have to perform, we have to try to do and to please so that we get the recognition and finally get the love we want and we can have. So going this way, it's along the way, it's kind of fear because it's just not safe. So, you know, and without unconditional love, and impacted everything because childhood and second chakra is all about connection with self, emotion, love, connection with others, a physical connection, and also divine connection with the spirit. If we can get this unconditional love, we are divinely connected. We feel safe and protected, but we didn't have it. So it's not safe, cautious, fear, and also it's about physical, it's about fun, relaxation. So that's why a lot of adults finally they feel like they have to be on guard all the time, cannot relax and cannot have fun. And also it's about creativity, because when you are relaxed, when you could have fun, your brain wave is under certain, vibrations, frequency, and you are in the state could do the most creative work. We are all the creator, artist of our life. But then when we are not in that state, we just cannot. And also interesting enough, it's also about the money, because money is not just money itself. Money is the energy of love. It's the both ends, receiving and the giving. If we were not secure, we were not protected, we have to do or so, we have to give, perform, and we didn't learn how to naturally just receive. When you receive, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to do anything to be yourself, but we cannot be our true self. We have to do something. So that connection got, broken as well. So finally, without this unconditional love, without emotional support, and we will stay in this fear state. And with certain situation, we got trapped, and finally the patterns formed. So to the root, actually, no matter what situation, health, everything goes to the fear and the love. When you can have the emotional connection, love, unconditional love, you love yourself first, and you can receive your own love, and then you can love others. All starts to flow, and the fear will just fade away by itself.
That makes so much sense for me. It resonates with, high performers. Like I know myself, I'm a high performer, and I can see, as you've explained some of that, where some of the roots of that are, that it's in the doing that I feel the achievement and the love for that, rather than the unconditional love. So thank you for sharing that. That was a real epiphany for me as you were talking. And you also mentioned, Jenny, about stuck energies, and you said that patterns are signs of stuck energies. So how do we know what signs are there that we are in a pattern of that stuckness, and what can we do about it?
Oh, thank you so much for asking this question, because it's just so profound, so important. Let me explain here. So, for example, let me taking this procrastination as example, because we, especially women, a lot of us are entrepreneurs. That's, a huge commitment we need to have. And when we need to do something or so, we procrastinate it or whatever. For example, my case and many of my clients' case, when we need to sit down in front of the computer, we need to do things, start to create or so, then we don't do it. So we, not knowing, we started to either check email or whatever, do anything, or get up and do some chores and do some errands and then come back. And then again, go to refrigerator, do some, just some other things. But, and then, when we found ourselves didn't do what we needed to do and we were upset, we beat ourselves and feel bad about our procrastination. So then we said, we have time management issue. But it's just not time management, it's the energy management. So what I say about the pattern is here. Some people came to me working on procrastination. So I just remind them. So do you see any patterns? Let me ask you, like, oh yeah, I just don't do it. So when you start to feel that, you are resisting, you are like, the other word, rebelling. Because I found this is so profound. Many people have this rebellion energy, about doing this kind of work. So I just like them to think about that, put it in mind, what was the latest time you just felt like you procrastinated again. So they described to me, okay, either, in the daytime, in the front of, the computer, or during the nighttime, they just had to go to the cell phone. They knew that it's not, healthy. I should not do it. I should rest so that tomorrow I have energy, but I don't do it. So these kind of small things, I just remind them to be cautious and be aware. When you sit down and need to do, but you're not doing it, next time you just be cautious and stop. Check your mind. What noises and the voices I have in my mind telling me I just don't want to do it. It sucks. I just resist. And then, use our tool if we work, it will help them to have some clarity, because some, thoughts also will come up. It reminded me when I was in the high school. Or in this school, I really didn't want to do this. My parents pushed me and they went to the party or something like that. So I just gave one example,
Yes.
So yeah, they didn't know. Wow, it's there, this rebelling energy. Or the other lady, she said, I have done this for so many years. I still got stuck, still so frustrated. When I will have some easy time and start to flow, I don't need to, be stressed or, anxious, overwhelmed all the time. When I will finally start to succeed. So when I sit there, literally I have this noise come up to beat myself. You are so dumb. You still haven't succeeded yet. So how many more times? I'm so tired of it, frustrated, overwhelmed. All these kind of noises, they didn't realize it's there. So we just need to check these kind of pattern. When, under what occasions, or who people maybe trigger you. And in what time? Some people say it's in the afternoon or whatever, always happens. So that those kind of information always gave us the signs. So when I work with them, we will just start from there. I always feel this way. I'm trapped in this pattern. Then, I really hate it. So after these kind of, healing and releasing work, something will come up and reminded us, what was related to this pattern, this issue. I assure you, some old stuff will come up and give us the clarity. So finally we know, oh, that makes sense right now. So when we released those stuck energies, I call them crash the internal stone. And when they go away, and then we feel like, more aligned with what we need to do. Of course, maybe it's not only one, issue or kind of stuck energy different, but we just use the same way to keep going, baby step every day, and gradually looking back, you will see you have come out this far.
Beautiful.
So I hope I explained it clearly.
It's bringing the awareness to it, so that you actually then can see the pattern for what it is, and then using the right level of support to actually find the root cause of that pattern and deal with that. So it's not the procrastination that's the issue. There's something underlying that. So that's really helpful. And we're talking there about taking action. So why don't we take the actions that matter to us when we know that we need to stop or start doing something? So in my work, obviously I'm working with people on their health and well-being, and often people will know what to do, but they have some resistances to not doing it, or they start it and then they don't sustain it. So why don't we take consistent action?
Yes, it's another great question. Thank you so much, Bev. Yeah, I think it's related to the last question you asked about, procrastination, or so we had something inside of us. To answer this question, I feel like it's also very, very common in my work with people. People always came to me and said, it sucks. I know what I need to do, what I need to stop doing, but guess what? I just don't do it. so it's like, I can give one example. Hopefully it makes sense for this to explain this question. And that's exactly the word this lady said. I just don't do it. I feel frozen. So then, we started, just use this statement. I am trapped in this pattern that I'm not doing it. I feel frozen, not taking action, or blah, blah, blah. But I really want to do it. But part of me, has something inside. I didn't want to do it. Da, da, da. So then I ask her, what made you feel you want to do it? Because I want to really heal myself and I want to be healthy. That's why she's doing as, wellness coach or healer. So, okay, so why do you want to do this? Stay healthy. Why do you want to stay healthy? Because, if you don't stay healthy, I have kids, I should be there for them. Okay, so that's normal. Why it drives you so, so motivated you. Now things start to come out. Because I have this fear. Fear of what? Fear of unhealthy. We all have that. We have health issue. It's normal. No, for me, it's really because now she starts to finally, those emotion came up. The fear. Now she remembered, her family members when she was a child because of the health pass away, leaving her in that situation. She found like she lost the love of her life. And then she had to grow up, all taking care of her emotional, whatever, dealing with all these fear by herself. So that fear of losing the loved ones, that fear of being sick, it just got stuck there. And she didn't have the chance, the little girl didn't have the chance to deal with the grief, the loss. And when we went down to deeper level, we found that she still were stuck in that shocking moment, knowing that she lost the love of her loss. So now we started to, the door is open. We start to see what is the underneath, issue. And we went to the root to heal that wound, the loved ones, and also the grief, the loss, and the fear. We tapped away, clear the energy or so, and gradually, this was the biggest thing. Of course, she had some other thing, but this is the biggest. So finally, when we let go of that fear, so she moves forward to do this work, not based on her fear of losing the love, fear of being sick. You see, it's the different motivation. So finally, she was motivated by healthy drive, healthy desire. Because I experienced this, I really can come out finally, and I want to help others. I could help them so that they don't need to go through this again like I experienced, felt, was horrible feelings. So now it's really the healthy desire and driving. So she's inspired. So she started to shift. Of course, it's still a journey, had some other issues. And then the body resistance. We were so used to this old way, and the body was confused. The body thought they need to do that so that it could be us. So the body keeps, doing this to be loyal to us. But now they don't know. It doesn't serve us anymore. We need to change. So also, again, that's the next one I mentioned in the previous question as well, the inner resistance. So we also, clear that energy. So gradually, we start to be aligned again. So the internal tug of war, it's like stopped. So feel more and more aligned with who we are and our purpose. So finally, she started to take actions. Now she's fine. I hope it explains.
That's a great example. That's a great way to explain it. So, when you were talking about the 4-step method, you said the last one was about moving forward. So, is there a recommendation or an action that you can give listeners now that would support them to take that next step? Whatever the next step is that they need. What are some of the tools that are easy to just explain simply now?
Okay. One important point I really like to share, because that was me before I beat myself, and many of my clients came to me. They really judge themselves about all these issues they have. They cannot accept, and they are stuck. They feel any kind of horrible, bad feeling, of course. But the thing is, most of us try so hard for so long time and still cannot figure it out. We want to figure it out. We want to fix our problems and fix ourselves. So after all this work, all these years of work I have done, I really love to share from my heart space that it's the time to stop fixing and start to honor our real self-talk, our true feelings, and it's safe to go within. It's safe to be vulnerable. Actually, the power comes from vulnerability. All in all, our feelings, thoughts, they are energies. And energies have no good, bad, right, wrong. They are neutral. We only have two kinds of feelings, emotions, which are pleasant and unpleasant feelings. That's it. So since they are natural feelings, we don't need to judge them. So when we can see that, understand and realize this point, and then we can stop judging. So stop the internal war, internal battle, and then be aware of our pattern, just like I mentioned in that example. When you start to feel procrastinated again, or when you be cautious and aware of your pattern. When anytime you feel triggered, you just stop and check what's going on. Who triggered me? What occasion? Where I feel in my body? What do I think it is? What could be the reason that came from the past or whatever? So when we shift our thoughts and focus from judging and beating to understand and honest and be aligned, then everything starts to change. We can accept it well, and then we can listen and hear our true, real voices, and then we are aligned with our energies. When we are aligned, they keep vibrating and keep moving, so finally they won't leave us. They don't want to get stuck inside of us. And then our energy field is open. Then our life flow in different areas starts to also flow. And then, our problems or whatever, and just start to change. Not because of the situations themselves, because of our perspectives to look at our life situations. So if I could, really share with you that, I think it's really important. Hopefully it helps.
Yes. So that's just stop, connect back in with yourself and reflect, really, is what you're saying there, so that you can stay in alignment with that. And that really, it's not, you're not labeling it good or bad. It just is what it is. And sometimes it feels pleasant and sometimes it feels unpleasant. So brilliant. Thanks, Jenny. And our final question is, what are your tips for living fabulously?
Tips. Fabulously.
3 tips, let's say. 1 or 2.
Okay. Yes. And feel free to be yourself. We don't need to get permission, other people's permission to be ourselves. Just feel free to be ourselves, be authentic, and then we find our freedom, find our flow. Is that one tip?
Beautiful.
2 tips.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And you can find Jenny Lee Sakon at her website, which is joyfuljourneycoaching.net, and also on Facebook under Joyful Journey. And the links will be in the show notes, and so that you can get the right spelling of everything. And Jenny, thank you so much for inspiring us today. What I feel really came together for me is that your description of this battle between fear and love, it's not something that I've ever heard anyone speak about, but it makes so much sense that this, this need, it's one of our basic human needs, is to be loved. And yet, if there's situations that we've grown up in where the love was conditional, it's actually shaped us and created these patterns and fears in us. And there is a way out. But I also love that you said you don't have to keep fixing yourself. You can come back to who you really are and release these things in a way. So I just love what you've had to say today. It's just been really empowering and powerful. So thank you for being on the show with me today.
Thank you so much, Bev. Yeah, I really also feel resonated with your work.
Thank you.